Hey y'all. So today we're going to be talking about manifest destiny. We've talked about this a few times already. What does that phrase mean?
It's before the Civil War.
It is before the Civil War. When I say manifest destiny, it's our what?
Oh, it's God-given right to buy land.
God-given right, not necessarily to buy land, but to own it, acquire it, take it. It's this idea that described a mindset that as Americans, we should be able to own land from coast to coast, sea to shining sea, and not just have the land, but our ideals. What's an ideal?
What we think.
What you think, what you believe. It should take over this whole stretch of land. So now we're going to encompass, it's all going to be the United States of America. But what's the problem with that? Okay.
Some people already own it or like are about to buy it.
Okay, so when we're talking about manifest destiny, we're moving westward, right?
Yes.
Right.
Who specifically do we know that we've already talked about is in the West?
China?
Cherokees?
Cherokees is a group, so specifically or more general, the which is Native Americans, right? Indians. So what example did we give where we took their land? Anyone? Just shout this one out. Trailatiers, which was where, does anyone, I know this one's a long shot, does anyone remember the name of the treaty that only like 500 Cherokee signs? Do you know it?
I don't know. I know it's like E-C-H-O-T.
You say it? Y'all are so good. You're close enough, but you got it right. So, good job. So you're gonna have the treaty where only like 500 Cherokee are gonna sign it, but thousands are going to technically have to abide by it, even though they're gonna fight for their land. They're gonna have to be forcibly moved. So that's the Native Americans. Who else might manifest destiny, this idea that this land belongs to us, affect? If we're moving westward, so that means, let's look at the map back here. If we're moving westward, so this is the east, and you're moving west, who might that affect?
Wyoming.
Specific, okay. Who is going to have control of this part right here? Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, California.
Mexico.
Not the Spanish, the
Oh, the French.
Mexican. So, we do not own this land. Mexicans own this land. So, how are we going to have to get this land?
We're gonna have to
We're
find
gonna have to buy it from
We're not going to buy it
Sign
from
a treaty.
We're not going to sign a treaty. We're going to go to war. This is what's going to initiate the Mexican-American War. You'll see the Alamo play with Texas. Now, that's not going to come from the Mexican-American War. We're going to do something called annex the Alamo, or not the Alamo, Texas. Does anyone know what annex means?
Like cleanse?
Not to cleanse.
Oh, no, to keep safe?
To take by force, generally. Like, we're taking it. It's ours. It's not given. It's not acquired through ways of a treaty. It's annexed. Yes.
Are we stealing it?
No, it's just because it wasn't stolen. It was a battle. It was fought for. We annexed it from Texas. Yes.
So a metaphor would be like if you made a bed for the land and then you wanted it.
Sorta. It's more like two countries are fighting over this plot of land and one wins. So that's literally going to be it.
How can like they fight for the land? Like how do the Mexicans have to fight with them if they don't want to give it to them, but it's their land?
Rephrase that one more time.
Like it's their land and they already like it's
So Mexico owns this land.
yes, and then we want it, but like Mexico doesn't want to fight. Like how do we like just take it, but it's their land? Did they claim it already?
Kind of both of us have a little bit of a claim to Texas, especially if you remember what we talked about during the Louisiana Purchase. We actually kind of had a claim to Texas too. And there's going to be a lot of Americans who are going to settle in the Texas territory. And so both of us want it. And so we're going to fight over it. But yes, at the time, technically, Mexico owns Texas. But there's a little bit of a claim to both. It's not in the boundaries of what you would call Mexico today, and it's not in the boundaries of the United States. It's Texas. So, okay, but let's move on. These are the questions we're going to attempt to find the answers to, which we already know. What is manifest destiny?
When you
That's
when
a
you
right.
take
God-given
it,
right.
The belief that is our God-given right. Okay, we're going to attempt to answer what is O Columbia. More importantly, not what is, it's who is Columbia, and what does it represent. Then we're going to try and figure out how does manifest destiny lead to the Mexican-American War, which we just referenced. And then 4, does manifest destiny accelerate or slow down the Civil War? Does it help bring on the Civil War? So, one more thing. We talked about how it hurt the Native Americans. We talked about how it hurt our relationships with Mexico. What other people group might this affect?
British?
We've already said Native Americans.
The British?
Not British.
Cherokee?
France?
Nope. Think. Our nation,
Spanish?
and we're expanding it. What are we going to need? Or what are they going to believe that we're going to need?
Slaves, money,
Someone said it.
slaves.
Slaves. So, what group of people is this going to affect?
African American.
African Americans. So, we're going to gain all this new land. And those of y'all who are in my Arkansas history class, and we talked about the Missouri Compromise, what's happening?
Oh, they let the North bring in slave states because California wanted to be a slave state, but it's like in between.
So that's the so you have the Missouri Compromise, which beforehand was a slave state and a free state had to come in at the same time. Then you have the Compromise of 1850, and because of California,
Wasn't it
which
Kansas
Kansas and Nebraska is going to be some of them, they're going to have this. It's a free-for-all. Any state that wants to come in as a slave state can be a slave state. And so you're having all these new territories, which means all these new states, which means more potential for them to come in as either a free or a slave. You see how this could cause tensions? Yeah.
So they passed like the majority of people who wanted slaves, like called that a slave state, even though there's people in them who didn't want slaves.
Right. Well, I mean, a perfect example is Arkansas. Arkansas itself was a slave state. We fought for the Confederates in the Civil War. But there was a ton of people in the state that didn't believe in slavery. Same with every state. Just like in the North, on the flip side, it may have been a free state, but there was people that held slaves. So it's going to be like that on both sides. We'll give and take. Okay, so now we're going to look up here. We're going to look at, it is an angel. So this is a pretty famous painting. And the angel in the painting's name is Columbia. Okay, so you pass out, you want to put the picture on it right there for me? Thank you. Okay, she's going to be passing out a picture. It's the same one you're looking at on the screen. I'll wait till she gets it. Yeah.
When they when North and the South, when they fought, how did you tell who was who?
Well, they had on different uniforms, just like different armies. So you had the Confederates who wore the gray and red, and you had the North, the Union, who fought in blue. So it was two different countries. Because the South separated and became their own country. So 2 different countries, so 2 different colors. Yeah, you can write on this.
Can we label it color?
Yes, we are going to label in color in the class.
And like, did some of the red kill some of the red and the blue kill some of the blue?
I'm sure it happens all the time. Okay, so everyone have the handout? Okay, so look closely. I've got it flown up here on the screen. It's going to be a little harder to see up here because it's so light in the room. Okay, someone read me the first paragraph on top.
Notice.
Okay, you can read.
In the mid-1800s, manifest destiny is the term used to describe the Midwest of Americans in the early to mid-1800s. During this time, Americans developed a sense of continental
Good job.
entitlement and justified expansion with the notion that Americans had the duty to spread their ideals from sea to shining sea.
Okay, who's got the second one for me? Catherine?
The angelic being in the image below is Columbia, the female personification of the American spirit during the 1800s. The painting entitled American Progress by John Gast reflected the American attitude toward expansion and growth during Manifest Destiny. Analyze the painting above. What examples of Manifest Destiny can you point in the painting above?
So I gave you one example, which is the wagons heading west. They represent the migration of the American people from the eastern side of the United States to the western side. So you see all the wagons, they're heading west. Specifically, can you tell me, what is this right here?
Mountains.
It's not the mountains, it's the
Ocean.
It's the ocean, it's the coast. Remember, sea to shining sea. We go coast to coast. So they're heading west to the Pacific coast. Yes.
So is that kind of like where the Oregon Trail?
Yeah, this is. Yeah. With Manifest Destiny, we're going to get to talk about, the Oregon Trail. We'll talk about the Alamo. We'll really hit the Mexican-American War. Yeah.
Why does she have to wire in her?
Okay, we're actually going to talk about that. I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yes.
Okay, so look really closely. So you see she's carrying the wire. I'm so proud that you noticed that. What is the wire connected to?
The power line.
Power line. So what do you think that represents?
She's
Power.
She's, okay, so what are they bringing where?
Energy.
Not necessarily energy, but
Electricity.
power, electricity to the
Mexican.
to the west. Telegraph, primarily. The ability to send messages. So it's like this untapped world. Yeah. So it says like telegraph wires carried by Columbia represent bringing progress. So that's a good way to write it. Progress and technology to the wilderness of the West. That would be number 2.
Can you say that?
That was just me. Telegraph wires carried by Columbia represent bringing progress and technology to the wilderness of the West. Jill, will you hit my mouse for me on my computer so it comes back up?
In the background there are trains and everything by the coast. Is that from the people who already lived there?
No, everything they're saying, look what direction they're heading. They're heading towards the west.
Right.
They're going to the west, so they're bringing it. It's like it's saying it's all coming with them.
So are they like, are those trains really coming with them though?
No, this painting is just a representation of all that they're bringing west. It's like their ideal, their belief that we're bringing everything that's good to the west. Okay, someone else tell me something that they might recognize in this picture.
She has like a book in her.
Okay, she has a book. We'll get back to that in a little bit.
All the smoke in the air.
Okay, so specifically, what's happening over here versus over here?
So it looks like a storm.
It's sun shining, and then over there
A storm is coming.
Okay, so they're bringing, so what is this? It's sunshine would be light. They're bringing the light into the darkness.
Only light can drive out.
So, light to the darkness.
In like the smoke and stuff, it looks like there's like some people fighting towards like the bottom corner or something like that.
Hold on to those thoughts.
Is that number 3?
Huh? That was number 3.
Wait, what was
How
number
would we describe it? Like, you know,
Just, she's bringing light into the dark.
She has a book in her.
She does have a book in her hand.
I have something to say about that.
Okay.
I think the book is the Bible, and it's representing their main religion when it's there.
Yes, and kind of. So, she's holding the Bible. What is she?
An angel.
She's an angel, so it's an angelic being. So what do you think this represents? Not necessarily a religion. What is she doing? She's
Protecting them?
She's not protecting them. She's what?
Guiding them.
Bringing them where?
To the west.
To the west. So what are they doing?
Following her.
So it's just, they're reinstating the fact that God's the one who told us to come. This is God telling us that we're supposed to have this land. It's our God-given right, manifest destiny. So she's kind of just almost like the permission in the painting, like God's telling us to do this. Yeah, just say divinity or higher power, something God, God-given right. He told us to do this.
For
So how would you say
You can just say sanctioned by God or permission by God. Yes.
How come they don't have another train going the opposite?
The other direction, because it would be going which direction? If they're heading
the east?
the east, there's already
Establishments.
yeah, thank you. Establishments in the east. There's already power. There's already there's people. There's life. So everything's heading west.
Even the boats are heading west.
Everything's heading west because that's what it's representing.
So they're taking like food supplies.
They're taking everything. They're moving. Everybody's heading out to the west. Y'all know those old movies like you used to watch with your grandfathers, right? The old westerns, the old wagon trails.
Yeah.
We're
Like
heading west. Bonanza.
I
They're-
love that
And
show.
then
Gunsmoke.
So, but you always see them in their wagons, they're heading out on a wagon trail. And they're heading out west. That's what this is.
So to answer the question board, so Columbia is a painting and it represents all that they're bringing to the West.
Absolutely. You got it.
How come the United States is so different on the back?
How come what?
The United States is so different on the back.
We'll get to that because we're going to label that because the United States is different than what it was then, correct? We didn't own all that land. There was territories, but they weren't all states. So that's why it looks different. Yeah. Yeah, question.
I was just gonna ask, how did the United States get its name?
We are 50 United States.
They were all united.
United. The original colonies,
Why
they
do
were
we name it
united
America?
against tyranny. Fought for their freedom.
Why do we name it America? My sister is evil.
Because that's our country. We're Americans.
Mm.
Okay, so, real quick. Everyone understand? Does everyone have questions thus far? Or is everyone on the same page?
Yes.
Okay. Will you pass out the next sheet for me? I should have had you pass it out second though with the other one. Okay, while she's passing those out, why don't you go ahead and get your books and turn to page 345 or 346. You're going to see a map. Oh, my bad guys, 346. Kelsey, does that answer your question on this map?
I don't have a book.
Someone read me the first paragraph. Kalani,
Following the War of 1812, America entered a period of history known as the Era of God Fearing. During this time, America articulated its first foreign policy through the Monroe Doctrine, and a growing sense of nationalism gripped the population. Americans started believing that they were more morally and culturally superior to their native Mexican and British neighbors, and that it was God's will and the people's recipe to spread American virtues from sea to shining sea.
Okay, real quick, just because I like to know that y'all know these things. What is the War of 1812?
The Revolutionary War, Part 2.
Part 2, Revolutionary War Part 2. Okay, so once again, just reiterating the fact of what Manifest Destiny is. It's our ideals. It's us spreading our virtue. Someone read me the second one. Janai.
In 1845, newspapers edited first coined the term manifest destiny to describe the mindset of American expansion. The idea of manifest destiny was reflected in the 19th century by the mass migration of Americans from the eastern United States to the west through the great immigrant trails such as Oregon, California, Santa Fe, and
Mormon.
trails. It was used to justify the corrupt treaties and wars that resulted in the removal of Native Americans from their ancestral land. It was also used to justify the Mexican-American War, resulting in the
Annexation.
annexation of 1.2 million square miles of land in the American West.
Okay. Make it hear your last paragraph.
Manifest destiny also accelerates the onset of Civil War, was it touched off intense sectional drama between southern states hoping to expand slavery into new territories and northern states hoping to prevent the spread of slavery.
Okay, so we talked about what is manifest destiny. We talked about what is Columbia. We talked a little bit about how it leads to the Mexican-American War. And then in the last paragraph, how does it say, what does it do for the Civil War? We asked, does it accelerate or slow down? Accelerates. How?
As it touched off intense sectional dramas between southern states hoping to expand slavery.
Right. So it's southern states, like we all know, they're trying to expand slavery. The northern states, trying to keep it away. And so they're going to be fighting over this land. So now let's talk about specifically what is this land. And this is where we'll get to label and color the map. So page 346. You should see a map of the United States, but it's a little funny looking. What looks different about it?
There's less states.
There's less states, like we said, it's all territories. Well, the territories are bigger because there are going to be several states that's going to come out of like the one territory. For example, we know the Louisiana Purchase covered what? Huge chunk of land. But that whole territory is not now Louisiana, is it? It's broken down to several different states. So, but for example, I think we're going to get, it's California, Nevada, Utah, I want to say half of Arizona. I think it's like a little bit of Colorado and even a smidge of Wyoming is all, we're all going to get them from Mexico and then Texas on top of that. So we're going to be acquiring a lot of land. So let's look at your map that you have to label. And using this, let's label that map. That way we can start figuring out which lands we are having to acquire versus which lands we already own. Absolutely to the next one more.
Because we were trying to take taxes.
It's like if we wanted their land. We wanted what they had. Yes. So like right here, so y'all look on, we'll do number 33, we'll go backwards. If you look at the map, what is number 33? Oregon country, which y'all, by the way, super excited. What game do you think we're gonna get to play in here? No, when I say Oregon.
Oregon Trail.
Oregon Trail. I love Oregon. Have you ever played Oregon Trail?
Isn't it like a little pixelized game?
Okay, like my little 80s baby 90s kid just had like an absolute meltdown because y'all don't know what that is. It makes me so sad. It's the funnest game.
You play it on the computer.
You play it on the computer and you're on the Oregon Trail and you have to try and survive.
Wiring, right?
You get chooses from like 1 through 5. You get choices.
Yeah.
Don't you get a lot of dysentery in that game?
Yes, you can get dysentery. So, okay, sorry. I just had my little moment. But we're going to get to play that. I'm super pumped about it. Can you give me a picture of it?
Yeah, a lot.
Miss Dawson, can you come here?
Yeah.
May I have a question?
Yes.
Do they
Yeah,
get a
we're
lot,
up.
do they get a lot of dysentery like in the olden days as well?
Yeah.
Alright. So,
Yes. So, what is this? So, we'll take this annexation. Anyone else having trouble? One second. Yeah, girl, you just put Arkansas. No, you can do it how you want.
Should we just color it the way we want to?
If you want to, or you can color it just like that. So for 34 is nice concession. It's okay, it went out. So keep in mind, y'all, so a lot of people are asking me, like it says Louisiana purchased over half of it, but you still have the individual states broken up. Keep in mind, at that point, majority of these places were what? They were states. So you can actually put the individual state. Now there is going to be part of the Louisiana purchase that's still in a territory. So just label it just like that. Making sense?
So number 32 still is
oh wait. So we label the map thing and we don't write the things in the bottom, right?
No, yeah, you do. It's easier to label. I mean, you can do it how you want, but you'll be able to easier to read if you label it at the bottom. Yes, yes.
Oh, well, will you still put Texas annexation?
Because that whole thing is the Texas annexation. So many questions. Yeah, do you have your pass?